It's that time of the week. We are looking at your Dynasty football trades.
That's right,
Now,
baby.
go ahead and drop a like and comment down below a trade you've made this week. And the community is going to give you some feedback down below and let you know what they think.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, if you want your trades on this weekly show, it's quite simple. All you need to do is use our code LAND, LAND, when signing up at flockfantasy.com/land. That will give you 30% off, and it will unlock the ability for your trades to be on this show when you choose the Mother Flocker tier.
That's
So
right.
the first trade we are looking at today is from 7 Goat Rings, 12-team full PPR, 2 quarterback start 11. The second is projected early. The third is projected really late. I know I'm losing the production on Barkley, but looking to cash out just in case. Is this enough? My running backs are now Hall, Bijan, Gibbs, Najee, Khalil, Rashawn Miller, Tucker Evans. I'm looking to package up, get some picks. All right, let's have a look. So he sends away Saquon Barkley and a third, gets back Zach Evans, Sean Tucker, Quentin Johnston, and a second-round pick. You're a big Quentin Johnston guy, so I guess I'll cede this to you and see how you feel about it.
Yeah, look, right now, I don't mind doing a Quentin Johnston for Saquon Barkley trade. I think a lot of people are going to be against that. A lot of people don't see Quentin the way I do. I think this works out and pans out for you, especially getting in a second as well. Now, I like your running back room, so there's really no risk. You have Hall, Bijan, Gibbs, Najee. There's no risk there sending Saquon if Quentin doesn't hit. I'm not a huge fan or believer of like a Zach Evans, but a Sean Tucker, I'm happy to take a chance on because he's essentially just a throw-in piece here, right? So I'm actually okay with this trade. I think this is what I would say. I think you could have gotten, I don't know if people would have given multiple first, but you essentially got the 107 for Saquon, which I feel it's around the area that he is kind of being projected right now. Actually, that's a lie. According to the community,
I was gonna say I feel like he's
according to the community right now,
that.
he is worth the 103. So maybe I'm just completely off and not as high as the community as Saquon, as much as I love RB6 right now. So I thought he would be around like 106, 107 area, but he's clearly a lot higher. So for the value that you got, according to the community, it's bad. For my eyes, I don't mind doing this trade.
Yeah, I would want more to move Saquon. I don't view Johnson the same light that you do. I still like him.
Mm-hmm.
He's not my wide receiver one like you. I like Evans. I like Tucker, but again, just kind of like dart throws at this point. I feel like I like take away Evans, take away Tucker, give me a first round pick in Johnston, and then I feel better about this deal. But yeah, overall, I think you could have gotten more value, in my personal opinion.
For sure.
The second trade, 12-team Superflex full PPR start 11. He says now have Hurts, Watson, Young, and Goff. So he sends away Trey Lance, gets Jared Goff in a third. How do you feel about this?
I like this trade as well. I'm a lot higher on Jared Goff, I would say, than the community. I do believe he's going to get a contract extension. Now, in a youthful perspective, you still want to lean Trey Lance. But even the reports right now still saying Brock Purdy is going to be the starter when he's healthy still. So if that's truly the case, what is Trey Lance's true value by that time? And maybe you just got something really good, but we won't know that until later, until he starts or doesn't start. So I'm okay with this trade personally.
You know, this is pretty even value, I would say. The only issue I have with it is you already had Jalen Hurts, Deshaun Watson, and Bryce Young.
What was the point for
so
sure?
I just don't know that Jared Goff presents more long-term upside. If Trey Lance does eventually hit, which no one really knows if that's going to happen, I think you might end up regretting this trade just because you really didn't need Jared Goff. Is Jared Goff going to start over Jalen Hurts, Deshaun Watson? I don't know.
For sure.
But it's a super flex league. I just think like if I'm going to wait on a player and just, let's see what happens, I don't really need him. I think Lance is the bigger lottery ticket. Next trade is from Basie. Says for the love of the trade, 10-team, 1 quarterback, half PPR, start 9. Same league as that 3-way that he looked at last week.
Okay.
I traded for Kelsey with 70% intent of flipping him. You tell me if it was worth it. I'm nearing a completion of a long rebuild, so Kelsey doesn't factor into my plans.
Okay.
So this must be okay. So the first trade he receives Kelsey.
Right.
Wow, this is a big price to pay for Kelsey. It's not tied in premium either.
No, but you
But
received
Dotson,
Kelsey. Yeah.
a first and a second for Kelsey, and then the second trade, he flips Kelsey, no firsts involved, and gets back Jerry Jeudy and Jameson Williams.
Mm-hmm.
In a rebuild, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
If you have no intentions on competing, I'm definitely fine with that. At the end of the day, though, if you really think about it, you flipped Jahan Dotson, a first and a second for Jeudy and Jameson.
Jeudy and Jameson. So
I'm not really sure like that we, made huge strides in a rebuild in that scenario. And I love Jameson Williams.
Yeah. I guess you kind of pivoted.
Based off of his current market value, I don't think he would have cost that much straight up,
Mm-hmm. I think you kind of pivot to like a more recent asset as well. I mean, getting a 25 first, not really seeing, the fruits of that anytime soon, where that's kind of where you wanted to see that. And you got a Jerry and a JMO if they do succeed. And maybe if JMO does have a year that we all expect, or Jerry Jeudy does have a year we all expect, I think they can be worth more than just that first that you sent away, the first and that second that you sent away. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, that's fair. Definitely you could be betting on those players gaining value. Goats is back, 12-team full PPR, start 11. Young was my quarterback 4. Okay, so this is the same league. Did I sell too cheap? Not worried about Cook and Terry. I had the wide receiver / running back depth. So he gets Zamir White, JSN, Zach Charbonnet, Kendre Miller, Hendon Hooker, a second and a third, sends away Dalvin, Terry, Bryce Young, and a first. So JSN and Bryce are relatively close in value in my eyes. Obviously, you prefer Bryce Young in a super flex league. There's probably about a round difference in value in a startup.
Yeah.
Did you get that back by sending a first?
I mean,
I don't know that you did.
You have a lot of people. I would say, me personally, I don't want to invest in Zamir White, a Kendre Miller, a Hendon Hooker. I don't really care for that.
I love Kendre Miller, but I would agree with Zamir White and Hendon Hooker. I don't have much interest in buying
now.
them.
Now, there's question marks around Zach Charbonnet, right? Is he going to be the 50% workload guy? Is he going to be a pass-catching guy? What is his true upside? And maybe that's the biggest question mark here. And I think this is a trade that we won't know until for a long time, because it really depends on Kendre and Zach Charbonnet to really return that value for you at any point in time. Because if they don't, then I would clearly rather have Terry and or Dalvin, whether he's with the Vikings, whatever other team for the 1 or 2 years, than a Zach Charbonnet and Kendre Miller if they don't pan out in the next 2 years. So we'll have to wait and see what that looks like.
I guess it depends on where that first is going to be. But I love, like, the pieces I love in your side of the deal would be JSN and Kendre Miller. And I do love Charbonnet as well. But, of course, like, what is his upside? We don't know. But really, like, the second, the third, Hendon, Zamir, it's not like the second has no value. It's not like those players have no value. But those 4 pieces just aren't pieces that move any sort of needle for me when I'm moving a player like Bryce Young in a first-round pick. So I don't know. Look, I think you can justify the trade because you have depth. But at the end of the day, I don't think you got the best value is what I'll say.
Yeah, I would agree there.
Sammy Stacks, 12-team Superflex, start 9, gets Kyler Murray in a second, sends away Daniel Jones, Gibson, 2 seconds and a third. So really, it's Kyler Murray for Daniel Jones, Gibson, a second and a third. And I would personally be fine paying this for Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I'm still, as much as I love DJ, I think Kyler Murray is the better long-term answer as a quarterback for sure. I think the seconds are good where they're going to be. And so we just got to wait and see what that looks like. But I'll take the Kyler Murray side with you.
Yeah. Someone take my phone away from me. This is following up from the Bryce one on top. 12-team, full PPR, start 11. I got me some Sammy ball game. So I guess this is a similar deal. Get Sam Laporta, Brian Robinson, sends away Kendre Miller in a third. I think you probably like this deal. You're a little bit higher on Laporta than me.
Yeah, I'm higher than Laporta. I'd rather have Sam Laporta long-term than a Kendre Miller personally. I could be wrong on Kendre. I think there's a lot of question marks there with Jamal, Alvin Kamara, if Alvin Kamara does get traded or not. I know he's going to miss time if or when he does get suspended. But I think Sam Laporta long-term for me, I think that's really exciting, especially the way we saw the T.J. Hawkinson usage in the past. And, Dan Campbell is a tight end coach, essentially. So I'm really excited for that. And I like Brian Robinson. I'm happy to do Brian Robinson for a third. So just to get some upside.
You know, I'm not a Brian Robinson guy. I don't know. Like the eye test is so weak for me. If you ask that guy to go anything but north and south, there's nothing. There's no juice. But of course he's a great short yardage back. I just don't know what upside there is for fantasy. So I don't really consider him in this deal between Kindre and Sam Laporta. I am taking Kindre over Sam Laporta. I've been doing that in all my rookie drafts. I do think he has a chance to be the starting running back for this team by midseason. And historically, we just don't typically see tight ends just raise their value. Running backs, we often see them do that in their first year. So I would take the bet on Kindre. Just my personal opinion. Yeah. And the man, 12-team Dynasty Superflex start 10. He's a rebuilding team. So he gets a first, a second, and a third, and sends away Brandon Cooks, Dalvin Cook, and a fifth. And I think I speak for both of us when I say this is a no-brainer.
No doubt. No doubt.
Most you can get for Cooks is a second, maybe, and I don't think many people are even giving a first for Dalvin Cook at this point of his career. So
completely agree.
I think you did really, really well.
Completely agree.
Styles, 10-team Superflex PPR start 10. I'm thinking those 2 seconds will be late. Now that I get Fields, DJ Moore stack. Other wide receivers of note include Waddle, Devonta, Judy, Mingo, and Reed. So he gets DJ Moore in a third, sends away Mike Williams in 2 seconds. I would say this is a pretty even deal. You know, Mike Williams is not really a player I want to bet on long term. Especially with Quentin Johnston there now. I just don't know what sort of untapped potential we're looking at with a Mike Williams in Dynasty.
Yeah.
Whereas with DJ Moore, there is a realm of outcomes that he could be, you know, someone who establishes himself as a very good fantasy option this year with Justin Fields, purely based off of the amount of targets he'll see. So I would be okay with a deal like this.
Yeah, completely agree. I love the DJ Moore side. Mike Williams, what is he? 28, going to be 29 years 29 years old this year, and DJ Moore is only 26. So I'm really happy with DJ Moore's side and Justin Fields and what I believe in those two.
Okay, we've got a blockbuster from Styles. He says 12-team Superflex PPR non-tight end premium 4-point passing touchdown start 9. My trade partner may have more value in this one, but I couldn't resist upgrading to Andrews and acquiring the QJ stack with Herbert. Okay, so he says starting lineup includes Brees, Henry, Olave, Higgins, Kirk. I'm thinking the 24-second is late. Okay, so he gets Brandon Cooks, Dak Prescott, Mark Andrews, and Quentin Johnston. Sends away Dallas Goedert, Brandon Ayuk, Trevor Lawrence, and a second-round pick.
Wow.
And I have to say, personally, I don't love this deal, especially in a non-tight end premium format. You know, Andrews is still going to be very valuable, but in a non-tight end premium, he doesn't have as much value in that format. So to downgrade from Dak to Trevor and upgrade from Goddard to Andrews, I don't think there's enough there for me to do that in a super flex league. And then also with Ayuk and Johnston, I know you're higher on Johnson, but I don't think there's like a huge tier gap between these two players. I would view their value relatively similar. Obviously, you prefer Johnston, the unknown, the connection to Justin Herbert, but it's not enough for me to downgrade to Trevor personally.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference here. I don't want to downgrade away from Trevor to Dak Prescott, and then, long term, when you really think of Mark Andrews and Dallas Goedert, I don't think there's a massive gap in my eyes. I think Dallas Goedert is going to get the opportunities in the points, maybe not as much and high as Mark Andrews, but I think the longevity with Trevor Lawrence is what sets the difference here. Because you essentially had Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert, like two young quarterbacks, and you went from Dak Prescott to now Justin Herbert, which is still fine. But I just would rather have the younger quarterbacks and then build off of trying to get, keeping my Dallas Goedert, who's only 27 years old, same age as Mark Andrews. And I don't want Brandon Cooks long term. I love Quentin, and I think that's a good price in this trade. But I don't love the tier down from quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, there's not if you look at last year, there's only about a one point per game difference between Andrews and Goddard. Now we anticipate that obviously changing because Lamar wasn't healthy the entire year, but still Goddard was a top 4 tight end before being injured.
He also missed time, exactly. So like they both have like these caveats of like Lamar missed time for Mark Andrews, and then Dallas Goedert also missed time for himself. So
yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah, not worth the upgrade in my opinion.
Agreed.
Hand the man 12-team Dynasty Superflex start 10. So he gets Pickens and Charbonnet, sends away Elijah Moore and Devon Achane.
Oh boy.
I have Charbonnet ahead of Achane in my rankings, even though I love Achane, and I easily have Pickens ahead of Elijah Moore. So this is pretty easy for me. Yeah. I'll take the side that Hand the Man has.
It is pretty easy. I love Elijah Moore, and that's why I said, oh boy, because I wish you didn't trade him away, but you still tearing up in my eyes in my rankings. George Pickens is higher than Elijah Moore, and so is Zach Charbonnet and then Devon Achane. So I'm okay with the trade. Just wish you didn't trade Elijah Moore for my own personal, I guess, want and belief of him. But you did, you did good. You did good.
All right, Goat Rings is back. 12-team, 2 quarterback, full PPR, start 11. He says, now please go easy on me. My quarterbacks are now Burrow, Jackson, Lance, A-Rich. The first and second projected to be early to mid, but probably more early. Just got to find the guy who loves Tony and Mingo a little bit more than me. I think we remember, Goat Rings, you buying Tony last week. So let's see if this is the same league, what you flipped him for. So essentially, you got Watson, Richardson, a first and a second. You send away Mingo, Mac Jones, Zappy, Tony, and Gibbs. And I don't understand is this a Patriots fan?
Maybe.
I'm not sure why they make this move. 12-team, it's not even Superflex, it's 2 quarterback. I mean, no disrespect to Mingo, to Tony, to Jones, to Zappy, but this is much more a quality over quantity play for me. I know Gibbs is there. I love Gibbs. But
they could be a big believer in Kadarius Toney with Patrick Mahomes potentially, and I think that's kind of where it's at. But it does feel like a Patriots fan with Kadarius Toney's on the Chiefs type vibe. Oh, I get Jahmyr Gibbs, but let me just give up Anthony Richardson. Yeah, I don't know.
A-Rich valued at the 102, Gibbs valued at the 105 in rookie drafts this year. You know, Gibbs is definitely a very valuable asset, but A-Rich clears at the moment in a 2 quarterback, not even Superflex, 2 quarterback. And then you get Watson in the first, which to me, those are 2 very valuable assets. The only asset I truly love on the other side is Gibbs, and that's the problem. I like the other assets, but I'm not in love with them to the point where I would sell them for this value.
Yeah.
And the last trade from Wid Murder says 12 teams, start 10, Superflex, half PPR. PPR, and there's a 0.5 running back premium as well as for the tight ends. Point per reception.
Yeah.
This deal took quite a while to get done. Spent a lot of time trying not to trade Higgins. But ultimately, I settled for upgrading a pick rather than giving away my 24 first. Makes my quarterback room now T-Law, Watson, Kyler. My running backs are now Jacobs, Sanders, Samaje, Gibson. My wide receiver is weaker with only Lamb, Burks, Hollywood, Shaheed, but I have draft capital to fix that room or wait and draft help, especially if any of my picks get near May or Caleb Williams. Selling those will fix any room, I'd assume. So he gets Miles Sanders, Trevor Lawrence in a second, sends away Higgins, Ferguson, A-Rich, and a third. And I guess the question here is is it worth upgrading from Richardson to Lawrence while losing Higgins for Miles Sanders?
Higgins for Miles Sanders, right. And I think when you look at this trade because Wild definitely asked us in the fantasy hotline, and originally that running back was it was really low. It was I don't remember I felt like it was around a Brian Robinson or Isaiah Pacheco type of running back, and I was like, if you can get a top running back that has a longer contract, I'll be happy with that. And Miles Sanders was definitely one of those guys. Because I don't think the third means anything to me. Jake Ferguson is definitely a question mark if he is there. But if I'm not mistaken,
the main pieces you're looking at is the quarterback and the wide receiver.
Exactly, and the wide receiver. So if this is true to where Jake Ferguson doesn't mean anything, and it kind of works out. Miles Sanders really works out. I'm okay with pivoting, and that's what I told him. So it just really depends. I didn't know he had all these extra pieces as well with Ferguson in the third. But even then, I'm happy to to pivot, especially with his wide receiver room, if I'm not mistaken, was pretty good.
His wide receiver room is not good.
It's not good.
It's
yeah, right.
Lamb, Burks, Hollywood, Shaheed.
Yeah, okay. So it's not good, but I'm okay with still getting Trevor Lawrence in this scenario with the draft capital that he has.
He now has T-Law, Watson, Kyler. So he already had Watson, Kyler, A-Rich.
Mm-hmm. So
I don't know. I don't think I would do this deal.
He was trying to sell Anthony Richardson, and then he was going, I think if I'm not mistaken, he's going to flip again one of those quarterbacks, whether that's Kyler. So when that happens, he can get another wide receiver higher tier than T in return.
Yeah.
So it's a whole conversation with Wild.
I think I would. I just don't think I would have wanted to make this the move. For me personally, I just think the Higgins to Sanders, given the roster, is not worth it in my opinion. And I think we've seen A-Rich go for some pretty crazy values.
Crazy stuff. Yeah, that's what I told him. You got to get a hole for him. But
yeah,
he was happy.
I'm not in love with this deal. I don't think the other side just won by miles by any mean. But I think it's like a 51-49%. I just lean that 51% towards the Anthony Richardson side of this deal. Just feeling like the Sanders to Higgins move is not something that I feel great about.
Yeah.
But we'll depend on where the second and the third is for sure. That is it for today, guys. Do us a favor, go ahead and drop a like. Subscribe if you like Dynasty content, and we will see you in the next one. All up. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, LAND, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy, even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.